right, get ready. Thanks, Sue.
Also very beautiful that everything's bursting out. Yeah. So there's a new study that may be able to shed the light on the different factors that lead to weight gain and obesity between men and women.
So Dr. Mike is joining us now, and we are going to talk about that. But first, let's talk about, we're always doing it, it's good to get a certain amount of sleep, right? And what happens if you work on too little sleep? What about if you get too much sleep?
Well, there's a sweet spot. If you sleep too much or too less, it's not good. Now, can we show this graph? I want to be scientific this morning, and you'll see that there's a sweet spot. It's about 7 hours. We gonna get to that? Maybe not. The 7 hours is about this. There you go. Look at that. See? Now, look, folks, let's look at this scientific study. All right, to the left, if you sleep less than 5 hours, the higher number, you are 3 times at higher risk of having a stroke. Now, to the other end, if you sleep 9 hours every night, you have 2 times a higher risk of having a stroke. So the sweet spot right there is 7 hours. There you go.
Wow.
Well, you know, you wonder if well, whatever. If you're
What?
sleeping 9 hours, maybe you're sleeping 9 hours for other reasons, like you have whatever, depression or something else, or other, like, what do they call those, like, not comorbidities or something like that, where you have other factors that might lead to that? I would love to sleep 9 hours.
I know, but who does? No one does that
gosh.
unless there's an issue. The bottom line is, if you sleep 9 hours, you're sleeping way too much. All right? So don't do that. That's not a problem for us.
No.
Let's talk about brain scans, because when it comes to gaining weight and also when it comes to obesity, you can tell in our brains there's a difference between men and women.
Yeah, fascinating study. And basically, what they're talking about is the fact that, look, we know that environment and genetics play a big role in obesity. What they saw in these studies, though, is that there are differences, one, in the brains of obese folks and people that aren't obese, number one, men and women. But there are subtle differences in men and women. Women tend to have changes more in the emotional parts of the brain, as opposed to, you know what it is with men? They feel hungry. They have gut sensations. That's what's going on in our brains. You hungry? That's the brain up there telling you.
So how does that help with not, like, gaining weight? Like, how does that help? Like, you can't just say, like, well, don't eat. I'm sorry you're hungry, or like...
No, but what it does, it gives us more information. It's another step forward to be able to someday address this. And I want to make it pretty clear. You know, we've done studies before looking at the fact that some of the changes that go on in the brain that lead to obesity occur very early on, sometimes in the womb. And it may have to do with trauma and certain things that go on in not only your life early on, but in your mother's. So, look, if you're obese out there, there's a lot of factors as to why that is. So this study, to answer your question, gives us another piece of data that may someday allow us to come up with a very specific treatment that differs maybe for men and women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's stress eating and emotional eating.
Could be a big development then.
Thank you, Dr. Mike. We appreciate that.
Yes,
I think I died and I went to heaven. I'm surrounded by angels.
How you flatter us.
Oh my God, that
Thank you,
truck
Dr.
did
Mike.
hit me.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness. It must have been a big truck then.
It was.